Hi, everyone. My name is Dan Kelly, and I work in the oceanography department at Dalhousie University.
And my name is Jamie Harbin, and I work over at the Bedford Institute of Oceanography. And today's video, we're going to be talking about the data state indicator. So, Dan, I can send it over to you to explain a little bit about what that means.
Good. So I'm just going to share my screen here. And what I'm showing is actually, I'll go first to the first page of this document. This is the Argo user manual, version 3.3. You can see the year there, and this gets updated every once in a while, but 3.3. And the data state indicator, I happen to know, is on page 81, and this is reference table 6. Maybe I'll point out that Jamie and I are pretty sure that I didn't highlight this, so I think this is highlighted or highlight, whatever the word is, in the actual document. So don't blame us for the ugliness, and also don't blame us for the fact that it says level. That means level. Okay, so I'm done complaining about the formatting. All right, so this is done by a code, and the code has a number, a letter, and possibly a plus or a minus sign. So the numbers 0, 1, 2, 3, these things. 0 means just the raw output, no calibration, etc. Probably don't want to work with those sort of data. And we'll be showing you how to select according to the criterion based on this. Then there are levels A, B, and C. A basically means nothing has been done. B means that automated quality control tasks have been accomplished, no human intervention. And C basically means that the scientists who have been involved, goes on to the next page here, but they've looked at it and done some QC as well. And the other is that each of these categories has a minus and a plus subcategory. And our job here really is not to explain all this to you, but to show you that our argoFloats package can work with this. The table goes on for a few pages. I highly recommend that anyone who's working with Argo data should have a look at this, should read and probably study this pretty carefully. You wouldn't want to write a thesis or write an important paper about data that you find out later or haven't passed through any quality control at all. Frankly, our examination, Jamie and I've been working on this, and our examination suggests that even data that have gone through the full suite of quality control can be risky. So I guess what I'm saying is I'd prefer 3C to 3B, and like I prefer the ones at the bottom of this. Now, so that's it for me. I'm going to shift over back to Jamie, and she'll show you some code that demonstrates how you can work with this in the argoFloats package.
So, let me get up my RStudio here. So it's really just a few lines of code. In line 1, all I'm doing is just loading up the package. And then for this particular example, I won't get into detail about what's happening here in line 3. We do have other videos that talk about this specific type of subset, but all I'm doing is I'm subsetting by circle in the Arabian Sea, and we're doing it for a radius of 40 kilometers. So that just might take a few seconds just to load up. Seems it takes longer when we're doing videos, Dan.
That's right.
And then in line 4, so we actually have 2 steps combined here. So as you now know from watching our videos, you get the index, and then you can do your get profiles and read profiles. So we just combine that step. So I'm just getting to the Argos type phase here. And then in line 6, all I'm doing is I'm seeing which possible data state indicators exist within this data set. So as you see, there are 64 2B and 48 2C. And as Dan mentioned, the data state indicator essentially tells us the degree of processing that the data has gone through. So of course, we would want to ideally deal with data that have had more or a higher level of data processing. So in this case, it is 2C. So that's all I'm doing in line 8 is just subsetting this data set in the Arabian Sea to only include level 2C. And then the last line is really just verifying that that all went through. So we're extracting out the data state indicator from our Argo's object. And I'll just expand this here. And you can see that now everything is 2C. So again, it's really just ensuring that you're dealing with the best possible data for your analysis. So that's all I wanted to say. Dan, is there anything else that you wanted to touch on?
No, I think that's about it. One thing is that if you go to the table line, maybe scroll your output to, or just redo the table.
Yeah, sure.
So this is showing those numbers of the number of profiles, not cycles. This is a confusing thing, that a given netcdf file holds a given cycle, but it may hold more than one profile. And so that number 64 plus 48, that's actually not the number of cycles that are in here. Like, Jamie, can you just type index 1?
Yeah.
Okay, so you see there's 72 items, and that is not the sum of 64 and 48. What it is that there are 72 cycles, some of which contain one profile, and some have more than one profile. So that's the reason why the tabulate works in that way. I think that's about it. So the next step that a person might do, well, it could be anything that you would like to do. You make, as we've shown you before, how to make TS diagrams and how to make maps and all that sort of a thing. But I do think that it would be, we've also prepared a map, which we're not showing you here, but in a given region, you know, it may be that you have, I'll say on the easterly portion of the region that you're interested in, that they're mainly data which have gone through a lower quality, and say the western portion may be a higher number of steps. And that might make you think, well, we'll only use the high number, but of course, sometimes you want data in that other region, even if they're not quite as good. So we're not suggesting any, that you always select for 2C or any other particular number, but it's just that you should bear this in mind. It's that data state indicator is kind of the first thing that tells you how much you might want to trust the data. Once you've done that, you'll want to do what we've done in previous videos, which is to look at the quality control, to maybe apply the quality control and see how that changes the results. Right, so I think that's all I wanted to say. And you're done too, Jamie?
I'm done as well, yep.
Well, in that case, it's time to say goodbye. And yeah, stay well, Argo people, and stay safe.